In a land where the sun was once worshipped as a living god, there stood a temple of stone and gold, and within it, a mystery cast in light. Beneath the high Andes, among the Coricancha temple are etched with the imprints of a lost civilization. Evidence tell of an ancient machine, not powered by gears or steam, but by the sun itself. This was no machine in the modern sense, but a golden object, a radiant monument so precisely placed it could capture the sun's light like a divine beacon. Along the wall of the Coricancha temple, several stone blocks feature protruding bumps. These lead toward a false doorway carved into the wall itself. Some of the stone blocks have multiple protuberances, with a few extending farther out than others. Some blocks even display two of these features. The flat surface on the insert has an incredibly smooth surface, and the extruded stones from the blocks seem to have no distinct pattern. Some say that the layout of the extruded stones from the wall was a calendar using the shadows from the protuberances. Some have also said it was used to hold something for aesthetic purposes. Was it merely a symbolic piece of art, or was it used for a more sophisticated reason? From what historical records tell us, these stones were lined with sheets of gold, including around this very corner. These gold plates were symbolic of the sun and its divine energy that the Inca religion mentions. They glowed in the sun, making the Coricancha temple visible from afar. The corner itself may have had large sheets of gold riveted onto it, possibly forming a frame that accentuated the turn of the structure, capturing more sunlight. The corner may have served as an astronomical marker or part of a solar alignment. The Coricancha was the center of the Inca cosmological world, and many of its corners, windows, and sightlines aligned with solar events such as solstices. The southeastern orientation might have captured the rising sun during the solstice events, bathing the golden plates in light. Although, could there have been a more sophisticated purpose for this insert along this wall? Most of the stones are very precise. What can we learn from studying and measuring these stones?
Hey everyone, I'm outside the Coricancha temple right now where a giant sun disk used to be displayed here. The Incas used to place the giant sun disk here. These were the blocks to hold it up. Some people say that these used to hold a different purpose. But what I want to do is use a digital protractor, and I want to see how accurate this is. Let's take a look. Okay. So, calibrate. 0. Okay, let's move it over. A little off. Oy. 0. So let's go up just a little bit here, but that is very, very small. 0.2. It's very, very small. I mean, if I just touch this a little bit, it might change. I believe it is flat. This area right down here is a little sloped down, just a little bit. It's hard to see with the camera. But these were master stonemasons of the past.
The architectural beauty of this temple lies not only in the precision of its stonework, but more importantly, in the consistent use of repeating measurements throughout its design. When measuring the angles of these wall inserts, or also known as false windows, it becomes clear that great precision was involved, suggesting the use of highly accurate hand tools in their construction. One of the most striking and puzzling features of its construction is the consistent use of the very specific measurement 86.6 degrees. This angle isn't random. In fact, 86.6 degrees is mathematically significant. It's the internal angle formed when you divide an equilateral triangle with 60-degree angles and extend one of its sides upward at a tangent. In basic terms, this means that if you take one of the sides of the triangle, remove the corner, and tilt it upward in a certain angle, you get this even 86.6 degree angle. It's to mathematically describe art, or maybe to artistically show mathematics within stonemasonry skills, a repetition of the aesthetic and precise building structures of the ancient past. It's what you can consider sacred geometry encoded within the stones. Going back to the original large insert or false window in the wall that we saw earlier, these two corners have the same angle or measurement as the false windows on the inside of the temple, 86 degrees. Now, what is the significance of all of this? The 86-degree angles, the false windows, and the placement of these inserts along the wall? Well, it comes down to one practical method: to be able to see. It was a light source, but made from a sophisticated and ancient method of how humans created primitive devices. This corner was filled with gold, but with a mixture of religious or ceremonial trinkets that was also used for a practical reason that most people back then viewed as a source of energy from their gods. But could there have been a centerpiece or a device in this insert along the wall? Could there have been a sophisticated ancient sun disk machine that some may have imagined as ancient technology? These ideas remain speculative, but the purpose of these adorned statues and sun disks may have been quite practical, to bring light into the ancient temple. The only written records we have of what happened to all of this gold are by two Spanish chroniclers named Garcilaso de la Vega and Pedro Cieza de Leon from the 1500s. Garcilaso de la Vega writes, "In the Temple of the Sun at Cusco, they had a golden effigy of the sun, which was a round plate larger than a cartwheel, with rays and flames spreading out in all directions." Pedro Cieza de Leon writes, "The great golden sun disk was as wide as a cartwheel and a finger thick. It was mounted on the exterior rotunda of the Coricancha, made of the finest gold, richly adorned with gemstones, and set facing east so that at sunrise the sun's rays struck it, and being such a pure metal, reflected with such brilliance that it looked like a second sun." The Coricancha temple displays remarkably advanced tool marks and stone shapes that continue to defy explanation. Along the edge of one doorway, we find peculiar holes carved into the stone, perhaps once used to anchor gold plating or to secure something of far greater significance. It's strange that we see these uneven marks into blocks that were firstly made with such precision. Why the difference? In this area of the temple, we'll find strange marks that resemble the previous ones that we saw earlier. There are blocks that have locking clamp inserts to hold blocks together. Some of these blocks were also used as pipes for a water system that used to encompass the entire Coricancha temple. Was there a bigger significance for this type of engineering? Could these remnants mark the base of an ancient machine? Technology so advanced it borders on science fiction? A power source that generates energy using the sun's light? What did these master builders actually create during the ancient past? One thing is certain, this entire temple was deliberately designed to harness sunlight in very specific directions.
Here's a perfect example of how the Incas or the megalithic builders planned their whole entire temple to be based off of lighting on the sun. You can see here the shadow is perfectly going on this one line here. Yes, there are arches from the Spanish church, but the top part of the temple here would create that shadow line.
But to truly understand its purpose, we must look deeper. What we see today at Coricancha is merely the uppermost portion of the walls.
We are entering in one of the rooms of the Coricancha temple. As we can see at the bottom, this is not the ground level. There's more blocks way below this. This whole temple goes much deeper than it actually looks. There's one interesting thing that I saw in this hallway of the Coricancha temple. Most people know that, okay, it's been here for quite a long time. Maybe it goes down further. I believe that is completely true. All of this may seem like it was original, but no, it is done by the Spanish. Why? If we look down here on the floor, we can see the locking area. If this was the original spot, there would be an adjacent locking area. There's another one. Goes over here. Nothing. It's just here. So this block was placed here. That came from a different area. Where? Nobody knows.
The only remaining clue that offers us a glimpse into what this temple may have once held is a solitary stone altar that's shaped like a table. What was its true purpose? Was it originally built as an altar, or was it something else, later repurposed to appear as one? I'd also like to briefly highlight something that deserves further study, which is the water system of this ancient temple. Here you can see the drainage holes at the back. Interestingly, the other ends of these channels can still be found on the outer walls of the Coricancha temple. Water channels once flowed throughout and around this entire temple complex, most prominently visible in the field below. Water wasn't just important, it was essential for this place, possibly serving both the temple's ritual functions and perhaps even being used by the ancient golden machine itself. It was no accident that these ancient walls were leveled with such precision without having any significant incline or decline on their blocks. They avoided any slopes so that water could flow more efficiently. Going back to the altar that was being depicted earlier, this is a crude depiction of what modern archaeologists and historians say this room used to look like before the gold and other pieces of the temple was stripped down by the Spanish. A golden platform to capture the sun's rays? Was there another function for this object? The only surviving piece of gold in the Coricancha temple is a plaque crafted after the Spanish conquest of Cusco, a remnant created not from the temple's original treasures of gold, but from what little was left behind, meant to leave a message for the locals who remained to be converted into the Christian faith by the Spanish. Here's a photo I took of what modern archaeologists and historians say about the depiction on the gold plaque. What might these walls have looked like during the past? Gleaming with sheets of gold, etched with the sacred language of a vanished people, and woven with symbols that whispered their history. This was no ordinary temple. This was a place where light met legend, and what remains are walls just showing the empty shell of their story. Could this enormous sun disk have served a purpose far more advanced than we realize? All we have are fragments, written accounts, and the cryptic marks carved into these megalithic stones. What we do know is that these structures were marvels of ancient ecological buildings, crafted by stonemasons who possessed an extraordinary mastery over stone, water, and light to utilize their lost ancient golden machine.